So, I think I told everyone this morning I have an autoimmune disease, and that was something I want to tell you guys more about. I was 11 years old, and I was at summer camp in the Shenandoah Valley at Camp Horizons, and it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. The last couple days, I got a fever and a rash, and I was in bed with aches and pains, and I thought I had the flu. You know, you're with a bunch of kids, and it happens. And over the next couple of days, it did kind of dissipate. The fever symptoms went away, and I went on to family vacation at the beach, and the rash kind of went away. But we were at the beach in the Outer Banks, and we were with my sister and her friend and some other family friends, and the girls got the sea lice rash. You know, sometimes that happens, and so my rash came back also, and so I thought I must have the sea lice thing too. It looked a little different, but there was some rashes going around, so we thought, whatever. Then what happened is we got home from the beach and my rash didn't go away, and the fevers came back, and they came back so severely that it was actually to the point we need to go to the emergency room. It's 103, 104, 105. I don't know if it went quite that high, but 105. And so yeah, we were really freaked out. And I went from doctor to doctor to doctor to try to get a diagnosis. And I think that's what a lot of people out there might be going through right now, is just trying to find a diagnosis and what to do about that diagnosis once you get it. So I ended up going to specialists and infectious disease doctors. The Lyme test was an obvious first route because I was in the forest and I had the rash and the fever, so they did test me for Lyme disease. However, it came back negative and all clear, which is common, especially this was back in 2000, so I don't think they had quite the sophisticated diagnostics testing, and right now they're still not very, sure how to diagnose Lyme disease. It's a very frustrating situation for everyone who's dealing with that, but I got a negative on the blood test, so they went with that. It was a conventional MD. And they sent me to a couple other doctors. I ended up at Johns Hopkins, and I ended up with the diagnosis of systemic juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, or Still's disease, and that's the rash, the joint pain, the fevers, the systemic autoimmune arthritis. And it was juvenile because I was 11 years old. And so I went on ibuprofen, I went on prednisone, and I went on methotrexate, and then over the years rotated to a few different medications, and I was going through middle school. I missed like a third of the days of 7th grade and had to do a lot of catching up on the side. 8th grade, things got a little better. If I remember correctly, 9th grade, I was able to try out for, I was continuing dancing. In 10th grade, I tried out for dance team, I believe. So I went to Langley High School, Cooper Middle School, Langley High School here. And I made it through high school pretty much. And then my junior year, I decided to switch to Flint Hill School because they allow you to do a smaller course load and still graduate in the same amount of time. And so that was more helpful for me having chronic illness. And it turns out that it was probably the best move because in November, I believe, of my senior year of high school at Flint Hill, I came down with mono. And that combined with my chronic illness just completely wiped me out. And I had I think I lost like 20 pounds, and I wasn't really eating, and I was very, very fatigued, and I had to do catch up, and a lot of my teachers had to end up, I think I missed like a month straight of school, plus here and there a few weeks and days after that while I was recovering. But some of the teachers had to just excuse me from a whole semester almost, because it was just, how was I going to catch up on a month's worth of classwork? And so anyways, I did graduate, and I went to Virginia Tech. And I started studying business management with a focus in hospitality and tourism management. And I started to get caught up in the college experience. And I joined Tri Delta, and I was as social as I could be. And I didn't necessarily eat the right foods. You know how it goes in college, pizza and beer. And then the mess halls, what do they call them? So they don't really have healthy options. They're probably getting much better now. But even the smoothies had ice cream in them. So there wasn't much I could do short of setting up a portable kitchen in my dorm room, which was tiny. So college, things went downhill. I kind of recovered a little bit after that senior year mono experience, but back in Virginia Tech, things went downhill a little bit. And by my junior year, I was in so much pain in my knees. My knees were like grapefruits, and my fingers and joints and everything, and I was fatigued and headachy, and I couldn't make it to my human. So let me backtrack 1 second. Business started to become less interesting to me, and nutrition started to become more interesting. So in junior year, I started taking some nutrition courses and pre-med courses. And so human anatomy was one course that you have to be present. You can't skip classes. They dock 10 points off your final grade every class you miss. So it might have been 10 or 5. But anyways, by the time the end of the semester came around, I had missed enough classes that I had a D in human anatomy. I was like, you can't get into medical school with that. You can't graduate, in pre-med with a D in human anatomy. So I talked to my mom and I said, look, I can't make it to class. And I remember this conversation so vividly. We were in their kitchen and I just said, I need to come home and take a break from school because I know that I can fix things. I know I can do it if I change what I'm eating, and I need the time to focus on that. So I came home after my first semester at Virginia Tech. And I just dove in head first to all this nutrition. And I had been juicing and eating organic and experimenting with gluten-free and egg-free and dairy-free before that, and some supplements. And we went to do the allergen testing, all the typical massage and reflexology and acupuncture. We had been doing that all along, but I still needed all the conventional medication to keep me under control to get through high school and graduate. So when I came home in college, I was able to dive in fully. And everything was about taking back my health, everything. And I probably really, my family was wonderful. They really supported me with that. And I am so grateful to have had that opportunity. But it enabled me to go to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition and study for my certification as an integrative nutrition health coach. So I learned more about nutrition, and on top of all the reading and books, and I have a whole nutrition library, and I was just filling my head with everything I could and experimenting. I experimented, and I really did some damage, but I did a lot of good. So I just put myself through all these crazy things you read about in holistic health. I mean, coffee enemas and herbs and sweating and salt baths and salt whatever, the gallbladder, swallowing a cup of olive oil, all that stuff. I did it all. And cold lasers, thousands of dollars on acupuncture, everything. I mean, I tell this story, but I don't know what really happened. I did end up trying to get diagnosed for Lyme disease again because I had about 10 signs one week, and I thought, oh my God, I have to pay attention to this. I think it was 3 or 4 ladies separately, individually came into my life and were talking about their Lyme disease diagnosis and that I should try. And I went to Dr. Sivieri in Columbia, Maryland, and he ordered the initial tests and took my symptoms, and the test came back and he said, yes, it appears that you have the actual Lyme antibody co-infection, or Lyme infection, but the co-infection Bartonella. And he took that blood test combined with my symptoms. So now they're really looking at everything that's going on to try to make the most accurate diagnosis. But it's very, very difficult, and I don't know many details about how they actually do this. But I started treating for Lyme disease at that point. I'd started pursuing health as if I have autoimmune juvenile rheumatoid arthritis and chronic Lyme disease. At this point, it had been 10 years since I allegedly had been bitten at summer camp. So I just go on now as if I have both, and I approach my health and taking back my health as if I am working on autoimmune disease, arthritis, and Lyme disease, chronic systemic infection, bacterial infection. So when I give my presentation, that's the perspective that I'm coming from. I'm going to focus a lot on the autoimmune aspect and and digestion, because that's all tied in, and inflammation and infection. And I did want to say, one thing. Oh yes, this is when I was experimenting. There was one period when I started taking there's some here you can fill in these seats here. The Booner protocol is an herbal protocol for Lyme disease. And I decided to try it out. And one of the herbs had such a profound effect on me. And I actually just was talking to Andrea Beeman on the phone a few weeks ago, and she was telling me, because she also had Lyme and she treated herself through using herbs. And she's so strong anyways that her body was probably able to, really get it under control. But she was telling me that, and I'm telling you this now because I also feel it in my bones that this may have been what's happening. When you take an herb that's so powerful as an antibacterial or immune supportive herb, it may cause some of the other infections in your body to become uncovered and to surface, and then your body may become overwhelmed a little bit because it's all kind of coming up to the surface. And your immune system is being stimulated by the herb, and then you've got all these other infections that are dying off. Die-off is happening, you're cloudy or you're tired or fatigued. And so she said, well, when you took this Booner, when she took Teasel, it was one of her clients, took an herb, and some of their infections came out, some of it got worse. So what happened to me when I was on the Booner protocol herbs, I had my gum disease, and I had a staph infection in my neck. Now, this wasn't the MRSA or the one that's really resistant. It was just general. They biopsied it at the hospital. It was just general staph infection. And then I had gum disease. And so I thought, well, maybe this herb, instead of stimulating my immune system, maybe it suppressed it. And so these infections came out. So for a while, I was thinking maybe that's what happened. But now I'm starting to think I'm not so sure. And I don't really know what happened. But I'm telling you this story because it's as a preface to my medical disclaimer here. This herb, whatever it did to me, put me into Georgetown Hospital for over a month with these infections. So I'm telling you this story because holistic treatments are natural and supposed to be very healthy, and many of them are safe. But I want you guys to be very careful taking herbs and supplements and participating in natural treatments that don't necessarily resonate with you, or maybe you feel like you need to talk to a doctor first. Go with your gut and just make sure that you do your research and you watch your symptoms when you start something new. But that was kind of a heavy note there to go with, but it's important. It's important that you, let's see, how do I get this to go? It's really important that you know that I'm not a doctor. I'm going to tell you some things that you can do, but I'm not a medical professional. I have a certification in integrative nutrition, and I have 17 years of experimenting on myself. So please just, whatever I say, make sure that you take it to your doctor or someone that you trust and you research it and everything. What I talk about is mostly what I've read in my schooling and on my own, and also what I've done extensive research on and what I've experimented with myself and what I've worked with clients with. So a lot of it's anecdotal, and a lot of it is from reading books, nutritionists and doctors who have written books. So this is something that I just threw this in here because I was curious the other day what the statistics were. I believe that top one is chronic illness. 318.9 million Americans have chronic illness. The stats below it are for U.S. adults and children for different diseases. And there's extra S in there after the million. 23.5 million Americans have autoimmune disease. That's like the population of Los Angeles, New York, Seattle, and D.C. or something. I don't know. It's crazy. By 2015, 1 in 5 Americans will have diabetes. I think it's by 2050 they're predicting like 1 in 4 with autism. I don't know exactly the number, but I heard that statistic coming up in the next 10 or 20 years. There's going to be 1 in 4 children with autism. And by 2030, this statistic's important to me because of the arthritis, but 67 million American adults are projected to have arthritis. So that's a significant amount. And arthritis is disabling. I mean, physically, what can you do if you can't move around and if you're in chronic pain all the time? Not just arthritis, but so many of these chronic illnesses put us in chronic pain. And it's very difficult to live our life and do what we're passionate about. Live a life that that we always dreamed we could live. If you have a physical or mental or emotional challenge, health challenge, it's really difficult to live the life that makes you the happiest. And that really is my inspiration for this conference, because I thought I was going to graduate in hospitality and tourism management. I thought I was going to move to the Bahamas, run a hotel, learn how to do it, get some investors, start my own boutique hotel chain, and take over the world and become, you know, a real estate mogul. That was not an option when I was laying in bed with, you know, 105-degree fever and no idea why. So this is really about being able to pursue your dreams and taking back your health so that you're not hindered and you're not held back from what you want to do with your life and what you feel your calling is. I also think that, you know, I don't want to be that person anymore. I don't want to go down that route anymore. And what this illness is not something I would ever trade for. I would never choose a different path, because what it did for me is it allowed me to take a different path, a path that is more along the lines of what I was put here on this earth to do. And I think I could have been happy the other way, but I'm really happy now. And I'm really glad that I'm able to teach people about this stuff. So if any of you guys are dealing with chronic illness or you're very frustrated, just be patient and be easy on yourself and take steps every day to take back your health, and try to see that it's maybe pointing you in another direction, if that resonates with anyone. But people are recovering every day. You hear wonderful stories, and forever I thought, well, why can't I be the one that recovers? And so my journey is taking me a little longer. Some people recover very quickly when they make these lifestyle changes, and some people it takes longer. So don't get frustrated. But it's really hopeful to see these stories, and I'm really, really hopeful, and I feel positive about what's happening. People are doing really amazing things, and things are changing. And so there's a lot of things that you can be doing to take back your health, and there are people out there that are making this happen for us and supporting us. So that's what I hope you find out here too with the exhibitors, is that there are people that are there to support us. Let's see. All right, this is the fun part. I'm going to get everyone to stand up for a minute. If you can stand up, if you'd like to sit for this, that's okay too. All right, so before we talk about nutrition, we have to talk about anatomy a tiny, tiny bit, because one thing I found very helpful when I was changing my diet, I want to listen to the reaction in my body to what that food was doing, but I couldn't know what the reaction was unless I knew, like, okay, well, there it's hurting, but what is right there? Or here it's stinging, but what's right there that is stinging, you know? So what I want you to do is find your rib cage here, and your right hand should be over your liver now. Your liver is tucked right there under your rib, your right rib. And it pokes out a little bit. And then here on this side of your liver, if you like where your pointer finger is, that's kind of where the gallbladder area is. And then you go a little bit further over in this area between your ribs. And on the left side of that hollow area between your ribs is where your stomach is. Then on this side, this is more intestines. I'm going to get to that in a second. But let's go back to the stomach. So if you go from your stomach has an entrance and an exit. So the entrance is up at the top here, and it comes up, and this is how the food gets in. And the exit is down further, and it goes off to underneath the liver to the right, okay? Now, there's not going to be a test on this later, so don't worry. But let's go up. So let's talk about the mouth. This is where the food goes in. And when you start thinking about food, smelling food, I'm going to let you guys stand right now for a few minutes, and then you can sit down. Let's just be up and getting our blood flowing. So we've got the mouth and the saliva here and the teeth. That's what starts the digestion. When you see food, when you smell food, when you think about food, when you put food in your mouth, all that starts going, the saliva. That's the beginning of digestion. And your body is so smart that you even start secreting the acids and the enzymes that you're going to need in a few minutes down here. So your body is getting ready for digestion. That's what's going on. So when you think about how so many people are just cramming food in without thinking about it first, it doesn't give your body a chance to warm up. So it's very important to look at the food and chew it thoroughly so that you give your body a chance to digest in the way that it's meant to. So you're chewing, you're eating, you've got actually carbohydrate enzymes that break down carbohydrates in the saliva. So you've started to break down carbs in the mouth. Then you swallow and the food goes down, and there's two, in the esophagus, there's a closure at the top and a closure at the, in between the esophagus and the stomach. And those keep food from coming back up when you're eating, and it also keeps food from going down when you don't want it to be going down. So there's just, it controls the movement of food. So it opens up to let the food down. And sometimes when you have the acid reflux, it's when this bottom one isn't working properly. And so the acid's coming back up and stinging you. So then the food's in the stomach. You've got protein digestion going on there because of all the acid that breaks down the protein chains. And then you've got the action of killing all the microbes there with the acid. So that's a very important part of digestion, is to kill off a lot of the bacteria that's on the food, because that's, it's out, there's bacteria everywhere. We know that. So the acid in the stomach is very, very important. And it's very scary, all these people taking antacids when they're eating, because you're allowing, you're allowing bacteria and microbes to get into your digestive tract and take over and cause an imbalance of the microbiome in your digestion when you're using antacids. So hopefully we can find a different solution by changing your nutrition. You won't need the antacids. So now after the stomach, it goes into the small intestines, and it kind of curls around and goes all around. You've seen those pictures. Okay, so then it goes into the large intestine, or the colon, and that is where the appendix is. And the appendix, I wish I had put a picture up, but it goes in, and there's actually, oh gosh, I wish I could draw this. This would be so cool. Okay, so the small intestines, and then it comes out here. There's a little, opening into the large intestines right here, and there's a little pocket right here in the large intestine. So it comes out this tube into the large intestines, and it travels up to your liver, across the top of your stomach, and then down to the rectum. So that's the shape of the large colon there, the large intestine, sorry. And this is the ascending, transverse, and descending colon. But this pocket here presents a problem, you see, because some people are so dehydrated, and they've got, they're not eating the right foods, and their intestinal muscles are weak because they're not used to eating fiber. So food gets stuck there, and bacteria get stuck there, and you have infection in the small intestine, in the large intestine. The appendix is also right there, and its job is also acts antibacterial or antimicrobial. And when the infection happens right there and you get clogged up, that's when the appendix gets swollen and you've got the appendicitis. So that's actually, I've heard, this is one of those anecdotal moments where I'd like you to talk to a doctor first, but I've heard stories of people giving enemas and getting colonics when they have appendicitis, and it will remove all the blockages and allow the appendix to drain. So that's just an interesting story that I heard once. It's totally a story. I don't know the person. It was a good friend, her mother, and they gave her an enema, and it cleared everything up. It's not going to happen for everyone at all, but it's kind of a cool story. Anyways, so you all can have a seat now. Thank you so much for that. But I hope that that allows you to, next time you have digestive symptoms, you can identify, well, is that in my stomach, or is that in my large intestine, or is it in my small intestine? So that's a little bit of anatomy for you. So let's see. When you're thinking about changing your lifestyle, it's important to be prepared for the change that's going to happen. And so what I want you guys to know is that when you make changes to your diet, you're going to have some physical changes. It's important to keep, just if you want to keep a journal, that's great. What are you eating now, and what are you changing to? And just pay attention to what's happening, because sometimes food is so powerful that you could have an itchy face for like an hour after you eat something. And that changes even from month to month. And sometimes I even get a little brain fog after I eat something. And as you change your diet more and more, you'll get more and more sensitive to these little nuances. So you don't need to stress yourself out over it, but just be aware that that's how powerful food can be. And you're not crazy. So, but what I do want to say is that, and I will go through this, we don't want to go to the extreme of I can't eat that, or that. So I'm going to give you some tools to get through this whole mess of nutrition and food allergies and everything. All right. The other important thing as we're going through this is just pay attention to what resonates with you. Some of the things I say, you'll be like, nuh-uh-uh. And some of them you'll be, oh, wow, yeah, I've been meaning to do that anyways. Is it urgent or can we wait till the end? Okay, I'm going to try to leave like 10, 15 minutes at the end to questions, and I'll be here all weekend. All right. This is kind of the outline of what I feel everyone should consider as they're taking back their health. If you're dealing with a chronic illness, let's say, these are all the points that I would touch on. And this is after 17 years of inputting. The last 2 or 3 years, I've really kind of tried to sort through everything and get out of me what are the most important things I believe you should focus on when you're taking back your health. All the areas for healing, really. And it's kind of a way of looking at this. I've kind of digested everything mentally and tried to spit this back out in a way that I feel will make more logical sense to people. When you're taking back your health, first and foremost, you need to think about strengthening your body, building it up, because so many people go, like conventional medicine, it's very typical to go to a protocol that will break down your body or make you weaker. And I'm not going to knock any conventional treatments because they're very life-saving at times and you may need them, but at the same time, we also need to focus on how can I strengthen my body and do everything I can to give my body the best chance that it has. And so when I'm saying that, I mean like immune system, strengthening your immune system, strengthening your body physically, strengthening your body mentally, emotionally. Nutrition and supplementation will help with the physical aspect. It'll also help with the mental and emotional. Rest will help all around. Being physical to your best ability, it could just mean hugging your knees every morning and doing some gentle stretching in bed, all the way to getting a personal trainer. Whatever resonates with you, whatever works for you at this stage, is important to be physical. And then this is an interesting one, mental and emotional mind training. I didn't know how else to put it. I'm working on it. But I noticed that I would negative talk, negative self-talk. Everyone's heard this. I am really, really, really horrible with this. I will talk myself out of things. By the end of the day, I can put myself into a depression so deep that it'll take me a week or two to get out of it and just be able to start working with a clear head again. I am really susceptible to negative self-talk, and I'll wear myself down and I'll tell myself that, I'm never going to get better, or no one cares what I'm doing, and then I'll, what we do. So that combined with a chronic illness where one of the major symptoms is depression is really difficult. So I know a lot of people struggle with this, is getting your mind in the game and keeping it there and being able to wake up every day and deal with these challenges amongst relationship challenges, career challenges, financial challenges, family challenges, health challenges. It's difficult. And if you're dealing with depression or chronic illness, it just makes it even that much harder. So what I do is I do a few things. One, I keep affirmation cards by my desk, and I just read them every morning, and I do it until I feel better. I also have an app on my phone. Louise Hay apps are great, Hay House apps. I listen to Summer McStravick Flow Dreaming app all the time. I love her. And I write down things I'm grateful for. And you may have noticed that there's a gratitude tree out there. I want people to focus on what's going well. And it may sound hokey pokey or whatever the phrase is, but you have to focus on what's going well in your life. Because if you focus on what's going bad, you're going to miss out on your life. That's what people always say is, you get to a certain age and it's like you've just been running in the hamster wheel. It's because we're not celebrating the good things enough. I mean, I just celebrate that we're sitting here in this room together with this important mission of making the world a healthier place. It's huge. I mean, just that you got out of bed this morning, you motivated yourself to come down here, you're eating wonderful, healthy food, you're meeting amazing people. I mean, it's just a day to celebrate, really. And I don't know how many times I get to the middle of my day and I'm thinking, I get an email and it pisses me off, or I get a phone call or too many phone calls and I just want to like throw my phone in the toilet, and I'm so pissed off, and I just have to stop and think, well, that's not productive. I'm getting these phone calls and these emails because I'm doing a really cool thing. I'm following my passion, and my mission in life is take back your health. And so I just have to reframe, what's going on. And even if you get some really bad news, there's different degrees of bad news. And there's a time for mourning and a time for being sad. And I'm not saying that there isn't. But on a regular basis, it's just important to celebrate what's going well. Alrighty. The other part of that is find people you can talk to about this. Find people that you feel comfortable sharing what's going on with your life. And that takes time. But I have to say that my community of family and friends is really one of the biggest factors in why I was able to recover from so many of my symptoms. So community of people is very important. The next step in taking back your health, I would say, is to think after you're strengthening with nutrition, rest, physical health, get your mind in the right place. Those are important things that you can do without a doctor. They're really powerful things. So all of this is very low cost, the first bullet point, not a lot of prescriptions needed or compounding pharmacies or money or anything. It's really things you can do at home with your regular grocery store and bookstore. Okay, next step is to detoxify. And this one is a little bit more complex and it is a little more costly. But if you research detoxification, you can do a lot of stuff at home with nutrition and food and juicing and sweating and saunas. Heavy metals and plastics, pesticides, and herbicides are a really big problem right now and contributing to chronic illness symptoms. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about that on another slide. Rebalancing your microbiome. I talked about that issue a little bit when I talked about the anatomy of your digestion. And I'm going to also address the infection a little bit later in the presentation. But herbal nutrition, extreme care, rest, hydration, some of these things can really take care of a lot of the issues without having to do a lot of expensive treatment. The next bullet point would be to stop doing things that damage your body. Personal and home care products, I'm not going to go into that because Cindy is talking about that right after the lunch break. She's going to go through everything with you that you need to watch out for in your home, all the chemicals. Food can be very damaging to your body if it's not the right kind of food. And then stress and pushing yourself too hard. So back to focusing on what's positive. Go easy on yourself. Give yourself a break. And enjoy yourself more. So do more of what you love. And this is 17 years worth of stuff here, guys. So I'm saying a lot, and it might sound overwhelming. It's a lot of stuff to do. And I'm still working on it. And what I would have to say is start with the ones that resonate with you the most and research it and figure out, well, nutrition, what's the first nutrition change I want to make? What's the first supplement I know I want to start taking? And start there. You can keep track of it in a journal if that helps you. I do that. And then the reason why I recommend that you take this slow and go one step at a time is really because you have to figure out where it fits into your lifestyle, into your daily lifestyle. And so if you're going to change something about your food, it takes you a week or two to figure out how to carry that out and make it happen in your day-to-day. So it's going to be overwhelming this week, and you're going to hear a lot of stuff. And you can take notes and write it all down. And then when you start next week getting healthy, start with one step and see how it fits into your daily schedule. And so an example of this would be I wanted to start oil pulling, which is something that you may hear other people talk about this weekend. But it's it's an Ayurvedic lifestyle habit to keep the mouth and gums healthy and the right microbiome in your mouth. And you take a teaspoon or 2 teaspoons of sesame oil, and now people are using coconut oil, and you just swish it around like mouthwash. Sometimes they put essential oils in there, like cinnamon or peppermint, and you swish it around for 20 minutes or so. And I did that after remember I told you I had the gingivitis? So I was doing that, and the gums grew back, and I did nutrition and everything to help my tissue grow. But it was something that was like, how am I going to fit this into my life? So I had to figure out, well, what am I going to do in the morning, and where does the oil pulling fit in? Because you do it before you eat. So those sorts of things, you just need to think and be strategic and really find a way that it makes sense to fit into your daily schedule. This is the biggest challenge people tell me they have when they're getting healthy is, well, I know I should do that, but it just doesn't work in my daily schedule. And then like a week or two later, I have no idea what happened, but it went out the window. And so that's the trick, is one step at a time, and figure out where it's going to fit into your life and make it super, super easy to make that change. So I put the oil on the bathroom sink, and I wake up, I go to the bathroom, I do the tongue scraper, take a drink of water, and then I do the oil pulling while I make my tea. And that's just enough time, 15, 20 minutes, till the tea boils and cools down enough for me to drink. I spit the oil out, and then I have my tea. Sorry if that was TMI, but that's how I did it. It took me like a year or two to figure it out, and I travel, so that's not always how it goes, but that's the reality of it. You have to think, if you're serious about some of these things, then you just got to be a little strategic and easy on yourself in how much you try to do all at once. So I'm going to speed up a little bit here and get finished with this and do my food demo. I think the blueberries are on the ice. I need someone to help. Do you want to do it? Thank you. The blueberries for my food demo are on the ice at the registration table in a bag. Thank you. I'm going to make a smoothie. Taylor's going to go? Okay. All right, so nutrition is the main focus of today. Vitamins, minerals, antioxidants are all micronutrients, and those are the ones that we're not getting enough of. And then proteins, fats, and carbohydrates are the macronutrients, and those are the ones that we're getting the wrong kinds of and in the wrong ratio. So vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, we need more of all of them. Your body will just get rid of the excess. It's okay. Proteins, fats, carbohydrates are ones that we're getting the carbohydrates, the wrong kinds of carbohydrates. We're getting the wrong kinds of fats. We're getting the wrong kinds of proteins. So over the course of the weekend, you'll be learning more about the right kinds of those. And Andrea tomorrow will be going into a lot of detail on that. And some of the other speakers tomorrow are talking about nutrition. Susan Blasco is talking about sugar and carbohydrates and their relation to digestion and cancer. So I'm going to focus on those micronutrients, vitamins, minerals, antioxidants. They come in fruits, vegetables, protein sources, superfoods, and probiotic foods. Those are the things that make up the basis of my diet, not in any particular order. So you can still be a vegan and still get some of those nutrients that are missing in a vegan diet if you're very careful about it. And so if you're going to be vegan, I highly recommend you get a health coach or a nutritionist just to make sure that you're not missing out on some of those really, really crucial nutrients that come from animal protein. Probiotic foods, I go into detail in the second point, some of the most important examples, fats, bone broth, ferments, like lots of ferments out here that you guys can sample, organ meats, seaweeds, vegetables, fruits, high in antioxidant and hydration, lots of berries. Those are good fruits to have. Beans and grains are controversial right now because of the paleo diet. I do eat some, and they can be helpful for vegans and vegetarians. Soaking them, Andrea, I think, might talk about that. There's a lot of information on how to make those more digestible online. Local and wild animal protein, venison, and also Joel's meat. It's important to eat locally and antibiotic-free, you know the deal, pesticide-free, because those pesticides, antibiotics, are sterilizing your gut. And the pesticides, they kill pests, so they're killing bugs in your body. All right, superfoods are one area that I wanted to highlight because I think that's the most important area to focus on for energy. In the beginning, that can be so difficult to do all these things, you know, healthy things if you don't have the energy. So I would start there if chronic fatigue is one of your issues. They're also very high in antioxidants, so tissue regeneration, all that good stuff. All right. These are the foods I would remove from your diet. And it's going to take some time to figure out about you know, things that are personally not working for you, but GMOs, pesticides, colorings, flavorings, empty calories, all those, you know, hydrogenated fats, too much of one thing, you want to be moderate. Packaged food always has something, some sort of chemicals from the processing, even gluten-free, even organic, they always have chemicals from processing. So just work on moving away from them. Don't drive yourself crazy. Moldy food, never eat food that you can see mold on it. It latches onto your intestines and grows. And it causes a lot of neurological damage because of the mold toxins. So don't do that. You'd be surprised. All the bread and pastries that come in bags, that's mold. If you leave them on your counter for 3 or 4 days, you'll see it all come out. And then what's the other one? Fruit is moldy a lot. All the fruit juices, even organic. I mean, you can't guarantee that the bottom of the barrel of that fruit wasn't full of mold. They don't pay attention to that sort of thing in the factory workers. So fruit juice and packaged pastries and breads are the ones that are highest in mold toxins. And vitamin C helps you detox mold toxins. So I'm talking about that a lot because I think it's an issue that people don't really focus on, but it's very important. It suppresses your immune system, by the way, the mold toxins. So if you're continuously getting mold toxins in your body, your immune system's going to be chronically suppressed. All right, food allergies and sensitivities. I don't want you guys to worry about those until you start eating, figuring out what you're going to eat instead. If you just all of a sudden say, I have to get rid of all this, then you're left with nothing, and it can be really freaky. So you just want to start adding in all the good stuff, and then once you feel comfortable with lots of options, lots of healthy options, then if you feel like you need to get rid of dairy, gluten, whatever it is that you want to eliminate, nuts, whatever it is, then that would be the right time, I think, is after you feel comfortable with what you're actually going to be eating instead. Otherwise, it can be very stressful and difficult in social situations, especially. All right, I'm going to make this smoothie for you guys. It's a blueberry hemp seed shake, and it has one superfood, hemp seeds. And I'm going to just make this up real quick, and then while you guys are tasting it, I'm going to wrap up my talk, and we're going to go do lunch. All right, so I can get you guys out there in time. Let's see. Superfoods, I mentioned, are one of the most important things that I think everyone should start doing if you have chronic illness or you're fatigued. They contain so many antioxidants, from chlorella with the chlorophyll and the zinc and the B vitamins and the proteins and everything in that, the green, the color, the vibrant colors, that's where the antioxidants are. So you've got the acai berry that became very popular a while back. You've got bee pollen, which is full of enzymes as well because it's a raw product, and all the pollen, it has enzymes that help you digest your food. It has B vitamins in the bee pollen, and it's got protein. It's a complete protein. Free amino acids are in that bee pollen. I love it for energy. And what else? What other superfoods do I really like? Camu berry for vitamin C and antiviral properties. Actually, the USDA has done studies on camu and its antiviral properties for herpes. There's another one I want to mention real quick, which is mangosteen rind. It's also a fruit from the Amazon, like camu, and it's actually being studied for Lyme disease. So those are a few of my favorite superfoods. I'm going to do some wild blueberries in this smoothie. Smoothies are the easiest way to get superfoods into your diet. And it's because you can blend it all up together and you can mask the flavor if you hate the flavor of spirulina or anything. I always use berries as much as I can to lower the sugar content if anyone has problems with too much fruit or whatever. Your sugar is low in this one because of the blueberries. And hemp seeds are high in omega-3s and protein, so it's a great protein and good fat source. So you've got the antioxidants in the blueberries, and you've got the omegas and the protein in the hemp seeds. So right there you're getting some good macronutrients and antioxidants. Let's see, this recipe is in your program, so you don't have to write this down, but let's see. Oh, you know what? I did it backwards. The only ingredients in this are blueberries, hemp seeds, and a sweetener of choice, if you'd like, and a pinch of sea salt. And what I do, actually, is I blend everything first, and then I add the blueberries. So let me just swap this out. All right. Let's see. Would you fill this halfway with water? Okay. I was running around so much this morning that I didn't get all my ingredients here. Water is the one thing I missed. But that's okay. So I'll talk more about this. So the blueberries are something that when you blend up into smoothies, do you notice sometimes they make the smoothie really thick and congealed? Has anyone noticed that? Sometimes I get comments. I think that it happens more when you blend it with bananas, but also if you blend them too much. So I'm going to add the blueberries at the end just so that it doesn't congeal like that. And so you could do anything with smoothies. You can use any fruit, any liquid, and any superfoods, and all you have to do is add a little bit of sea salt, vanilla, or stevia or honey, and it makes it taste delicious. The fruit itself tastes wonderful too, but it's just that extra, little flavor at the end. So this is just really, really an easy recipe, an easy thing to do every morning to get the antioxidants that you need and to get the protein, the fruit, the carbohydrates, the antioxidants, the whatever, all of it. It's all in here. I think some of you have heard me tell this story before. I'm adding the water, the hemp seeds, the sea salt, and a little bit of stevia. But the first time I ever tried spirulina, I tell this so much because it's such a cool story. So some of you are like, oh my God, this story again. The first time I tried spirulina was in a smoothie, a banana smoothie with spirulina and cashews and water, I think, was it. And I had it at home one day I was living with my parents at this time, very, very sick, so tired, flat on the couch all day, every day, pretty much. And I had the smoothie, and it was like an hour, 2 hours later, I started feeling more vibrant and happy, and I was kind of just, talking more, I think, than normal. And I was kind of in a good mood, which was rare. And the spirulina must have been it. I don't know, it just felt so good. It was like, that had to have been the spirulina. And so I said to my mom, I'm having the best day I've had in a really long time. And she was just like, we talked and said it must have been, maybe it was the spirulina. And it's funny because I had read about the spirulina in David Wolfe's superfood book, and David Wolfe's website is thebestdayever.com. And so I just had to laugh at myself. I realized later I said I had the best day I've had in a long time, and I was eating the superfoods from the guy who has the bestdayever.com website. So it's kind of cool. So I think superfoods are the place to start. Smoothies, whatever you can do, it's hydrating. It takes the nutrients right to your cells because it's full of water and hydration, and water is how things move around in your body. So this is a great place to start. Now, I do not have the lid here, so we're going to see what happens. This towel is going to get really wet, isn't it? I'm making more of this than it is. It's fine. I've done this before. I just want to decide if there's something up here that's better that I can use, because I did have a plan, but now this is what I'm going to do. No, that's not going to work. What should the bottom of the measuring cup be? Well, I'll do this, but it's still going to come out a little bit. All right, guys, this is what we're going to do. Okay. That's not the right one. Now I won't get blueberry juice all over the white one. Okay. So this blends up the hemp seeds into like a creamy texture. Coming out. All right. We'll just laugh at it, whatever. Okay. Yeah, but it still came out. That's okay. All right. So now I'm going to add the blueberries. And now it's really going to get messy. This was all planned. Why did I leave that? You guys, the one thing I forget is the top to the blender. Nothing else got forgotten this weekend, so that's good. But the blender top. Good. That's what I'm hoping. Oh, yeah, can we capture this moment, photographer? All right, is Carolyn Grafton in the room? No, she's not. She has a cherry supplement that I was going to put in. It makes this taste so good. It has an antioxidant count that's higher than, it's like 10 servings of vegetables worth of antioxidants. So I was going to put it in, but it's okay. It's a cherry extract. She's the one doing the blood microscopy stuff. Okay, this is good. Okay, it's really hydrating. It's not very thick. It's like more of like a juice smoothie, creamy. It has the hemp flavor, very strong. So if you don't like that flavor, you can swap it out with almond butter or something else. Yeah, so we're going to make a few samples of this and pass them out, and then I'm going to stick around and make another batch. And if you didn't get one of the first batch, I'm going to make some more during the break. But I do want to make sure you guys get out and have enough time for lunch. So it looks like the PowerPoint has gone off on us, but that was the end of the food portion. I just wanted to mention that if anyone has concerns about heavy metals, that's something I feel really passionate about sharing, is that a lot of doctors are doing heavy metal chelation that's really dangerous. And I do want to put this into my talk because I feel like heavy metals are really prevalent and they're not getting talked about enough. And tomorrow we are talking about them for a half hour with Dr. Sam. He's going to talk about how you get them, how they get into your body and what they do in your body. And then he's going to also talk about the dental component. But I've spent the last 2 or 3 years doing frequent low-dose chelation. And the metals are so damaging to your tissue that your body puts them in as far and deep away as it can as soon as possible, so it gets into your bones. Lead gets into your bones. Mercury gets into the tissue in like pockets of your brain, and it just gets it out of the bloodstream as fast as it can. So a lot of people are doing research into how metals are affecting mental health and chronic illness and immune system health. So I felt like it was a time to think about chelating, and I got the typical urine challenge test, and it's they put the chelator in really high doses, pulls all the metals out, you urinate, they test how much came out in your urine, and then what? All the metals have just been pulled out into your blood, and your body kind of goes into this like, holy crap, what's going on? And so it's a really dangerous way to test. And I don't know the solution, but I want to warn you all because I know that if you're going to a holistic practitioner, they may recommend that. I just want to warn you because it put me on my back for like 4 weeks. And I was dragging myself up. But that's the sign that you're really toxic in metals. So I knew I had to do something about it. A chelator is a man-made antioxidant in a lab, but it's magnetic to metals. So it pulls it and holds on to it in your bloodstream. And it allows your body to eliminate it because it holds it in the bloodstream long enough that it goes through your bladder and your kidneys enough to be filtered out. But those chelators have a half-life, which means they disintegrate after a certain number of hours. So the metals are pulled out, but then the magnetic antioxidant disintegrates. So what you really need to be doing is taking these chelators around the clock. It's a whole thing. and so it's a really complicated process. But it's a really important process if you think mercury or lead or cadmium or any of that is an issue with you. So I would just Google frequent low-dose chelation if you get to that point in your journey that you're ready to chelate heavy metals or detox heavy metals. And I have to say that every time I get up on stage, because it's so dangerous, these IV chelators and all these high-dose chelators. Some people get home and they can't think or talk or move for weeks because pulls all the metals out all at once. So frequent low-dose chelation is a safer way to go. And there's a lot of Yahoo group discussion and a lot of, there's a book and there's information about it. So I think that is what contributed to me. I don't know if any of you were at the first conference. I think over the years you've seen me get a little stronger every time. And I think it's the nutrition and it's the heavy metal chelation and it's the herbal protocol for Lyme disease. So I think those three were the trifecta. And yeah, so I think we're about ready to pass out the samples. And I would like to, if there's anyone that has any pressing questions, I'll answer a few real quick. Yeah.
Hi.
Hello.
So, I was really excited because I do attending nutritional class.
Uh-huh.
My oncologist said I can't do it.
You pass that to the person.
I finished chemo 2 months ago, and she said it would be too stressful for me
Yeah.
to do it to my body at this time. So now I'm kind of at a dilemma where I'm finding myself, damn it, I've been listening to my doctor since February. Now all of a sudden,
Yeah.
Or is she saying that my body just needs like 1 more month of healing?
So you're on chemotherapy treatment
I finished
right
2 months ago,
Okay.
and I am still on cancer treatment.
now? Okay.
So I'm not gonna. I begin radiation. I'm on Herceptin. I'm on a hormone therapy.
Yeah.
But I have finished chemo, and I just had surgery a month ago. And she's saying that my body quite isn't ready for the shock of a nutritional
Right.
detox.
Well, so detoxing, this is actually an interesting point. Detoxing does break the body down a little bit. There's 2 directions you can go with nutrition. You can go a nutritional therapy approach that detoxes your body, and that actually is breaking you down. That's the point of it, is so that you can break down some tissue and get those toxins out. So it's by nature, detoxification diets are low in calorie. They cause some breakdown in your body, and they also are very hydrating, very cooling. It's best to do it in the summer. So I would agree. I mean, again, please always, don't take my advice as a medical doctor, but I would agree that your body isn't strong enough to do detoxing in certain capacity. But the good news is that the other approach to nutrition is strengthening and building up the body, which is give your body as many vitamins, minerals, nutrients as you can, and not necessarily do a whole detox, scary thing that's going to freak out your body probably. Just slowly add in nutrient-dense foods. That if I was on chemotherapy and I was getting that advice from my doctor, I would probably, I'm like kind of always going against my doctor, so I'm like that, but I would do some changes, but I'd be careful. I would make sure everything I ate was strengthening my body and not tearing it down. So I would do like bone broths and seaweed and superfood smoothies, and I'd do a lot of resting, and I would probably go see one of the doctors at NIA that does natural cancer treatment, and so they could walk you through something. But yeah, that's kind of the approach I would take, I guess. Okay. Any other pressing questions? Yes.
Have you had any experience with biomeridian testing?
Is that what Donna King did? Is that when they put,
If they have 51 points on your feet and hands,
yes. Oh,
it's
yeah,
in your body.
yeah,
And theoretically, they can discover food sensitivity.
yeah. That was one of the first treatments I ever did at NIA, actually, back in 2001 or 2 when I was first diagnosed. And I think citrus and tomatoes came up for me, if I remember. But anyways, that's one of the things that I would say, get your diet on track first, and then your body, the I mean, if you're going to go that route, if that resonates with you, I think it would be more accurate if you're stable with eating good food first and not doing crazy things with your diet all the time. Just get on like a stable diet, and then when you go in for the testing, it'll be more, you're on a continuous eating plan, and so then you can notice more how your body reacts to certain things. If you're eating a different thing every day and every week you're changing your diet, it's just harder to notice your body's response.
They were able to determine I had some mercury poisoning, which I had thought I had already gotten rid of.
Oh, wow.
So they
Yeah.
started me on herbs and doing that.
Yeah.
And when I went back to be tested, I tested negative for that.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Is that helpful? Okay. Yes.
I'm curious, what are some symptoms of heavy metal toxicity that you can see for yourself as opposed to testing for?
Yeah. Well, I think that the heavy metal toxicity is something that manifests, so it happens and then it causes this system to fail, this system to fail, this system to fail in your body, and then what ends up happening on the other end that you feel is something that comes up like joint pain, hormone imbalance, buildup of toxins in your body, because heavy metals will interfere with your liver's detox pathways. It'll interfere with your brain signaling. It'll interfere with so many things. It's a free radical, so it does damage. So you'll have so much inflammation in your body, and that's why you need to have more antioxidants. And then it they're talking about Alzheimer's and everything with mercury in the brain. So there's a lot of things that it does, and it's really hard to pinpoint exactly how it's going to manifest in everyone's body, because it could be that, oh, you took this supplement for 10 years and it was contaminated with mercury, so you're going to be high in mercury, but this person was exposed to lead in all those products when they were younger, so they're lead or whatever. It's hard. It's hard to know. But anyways, yes.
You said something about stomach acid killing everything. That
Yes.
makes me wonder, how do we justify taking all these probiotics? You know that acid.
Yeah, totally. So stomach acid is built to, your body has it so that it will kill bad bacteria as it goes through the stomach, so it's sterilizing. So the probiotic thing, how does that work? Well, when you do fill your stomach up with food, the acid levels are greatly reduced. So the pH goes up and it becomes more alkaline in your stomach. So I would say at the end of a meal is the best time to take a probiotic pill, and also eat the fermented foods at the end of your meal, and it kind of gets all mixed in there with the food and goes through. Nature has it figured out. I don't know, but probiotic pills on an empty stomach are a bad idea, because you're right. How are they going to make it through? They need your food too to eat on. So having it with a meal is the best way to do it. Yeah.
I'm just wondering if you think you should do any kind of chelation, even with just something like chlorella, if you still have amalgam.
Yeah, no chelation. And the dentist tomorrow will. Oh, if you have amalgams, should you do any chelation at all? Or should you wait until you have them removed? Everything I've ever read or heard from doctors say don't do chelation until you have them removed. Yeah. Yes.
But some of us may be sitting here had to test for toxicity. And so if we did the test for toxicity of heavy metals and there was nothing there, are you saying that is hindering not not and it's still there?
It could. So they do the hair test and they do the urine test for heavy metals. Those are the two biggest ones. And unfortunately, neither of them are 100% accurate, because they say the hair is so old that it may not be reflecting, and then also the urine, whatever it comes out in that short amount of time, but it may not be they may not have given you a chelating agent. That's the other thing, is some chelators cross the blood-brain barrier and some don't. So like alpha lipoic acid goes into your brain and it would pull out mercury, but DMSA and DMPS and EDTA don't. And so those are often the challenge tests that they give you when they're testing your urine, and that doesn't cross the blood-brain barrier, so you don't know if you have it in your brain or not. So that would be, there's all sorts of nuances like that where you just, you don't know until you chelate whether you should be chelating almost, because you only wait. So it's a very frustrating situation.
Well, actually, I was looking into it, and one thing I was looking into glutathione, right?
Yes.
And I didn't try, for example,
Mhm.
but I did try some oral glutathione in smaller amounts.
Yeah.
And then I started to think if you start, because we're supposed to go on video, and they say you're supposed to get ALA, but
Oh.
did you think that there was some that you thought were a good idea?
What chelators that would be better?
You said the low dose.
Chelation, yeah. Well, let me address all that. That's a really good question. I'll repeat it for everyone. How many people got samples and how many didn't? Or how many didn't get? Raise your hand if you didn't. Okay. All right, I'm going to make some more during the break, and you all can come up and do this. I want to just answer like 3 more questions, and then I'm going to be around all weekend for you guys. She was asking, what is frequent low-dose chelation? What are the chelating agents, and what are the ones that I recommend? Or kind of, that was your, basically. But we'll go into detail there. I know you have other questions for me too about your friend. So frequent low-dose chelation involves alpha lipoic acid, DMSA, and or DMPS. And it's something that you have to decide for yourself which one you need to do. There's research on which ones target which metals and in what part of the body. So you do have to do some digging around. Alpha lipoic acid is the one that crosses the blood-brain barrier. But the important thing about all of them is that they only stay in the blood for a few hours, and you have to keep taking them around the clock. So that's the point of the frequent low-dose chelation. And I think, there's a lot of questions about it. I know it's a very complex issue, and I just threw it out there at the end. But maybe it's something that the dentist tomorrow will also be able to address further with you. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Do I recommend digestive enzymes for people as they're changing their diet and healing? So I think that there is a time and a place for it, and if that resonates with you, you've got to make sure the quality is good. And sometimes you can do that by getting a little bowl of oatmeal, warm oatmeal, and putting the enzyme in there and stirring it up and see if it starts to break it down and separate the liquids and the solids more. And you can kind of see how effective that digestive enzyme is. I know Hippocrates Health Institute has a good one that starts breaking down the oatmeal. You can see it actually working. Digestive enzymes, if you're really struggling, but I would say even before you make yourself buy a supplement, just make some of these changes, because your body will start digesting better. If you are, soups are easy to digest, smoothies are easy to digest. Chew well, get your own enzymes flowing, and the raw fermented foods help you digest, the bee pollen, raw foods in general. If you're struggling with digestion, make lots of raw smoothies and soups, and if it's winter and it's cold, make the warm soups, and just be more gentle and focused when you're eating so that your body can focus on digestion, I would say. And then if you feel like you still want digestive enzymes, I think Hippocrates Health Institute has a good one, and I think Naya would be able to recommend a good one, because they had Lisa Wilson there, and she is really an expert in that aspect, and she's talking tomorrow too, so she'd have some good recommendations too.
And do pancreatic enzymes fall in that category?
Yeah, so the pancreas produces enzymes for digestion. That's another organ of digestion that is around here under the stomach, and that pumps out protein, carbohydrate, digestive enzymes. So, and that's in the small intestine. That takes place in the small intestine. So, yeah, it would be, if you feel like that's something that you should be doing. It's hard to test each body and see if they're producing enough enzymes, but in general, changing the diet enough can do a lot of good. So, all right, I want to tell you guys one exciting thing before we all go out and have lunch. Look at your programs, the back cover. I'm hosting my very first Take Back Your Health retreat next spring in the Outer Banks, my favorite place to vacation. And I'm going to be cooking for all of you guys, all the things I just spoke about. So every meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you'll be eating everything that I just taught you about nutrition. Every meal will follow that protocol. And we're going to go on walks on the beach, barefoot, get grounded, yoga. We'll go to Jockey's Ridge, the biggest sand dune on the East Coast, and we'll climb up there if we can. And we'll just relax, and we'll have plenty of time for reading and talking, and I'll do some cooking classes with you guys. And I'll take my sauna with me so everyone can get, it's one of those, personal size you lay down, and it's a nice big, or it's a kind of a roomy thing if you don't get too claustrophobic, I guess, but I like it. I get in there and it warms me up in the winter and I sweat all the toxins out, so I'm going to bring that you guys can use. And we're going to have fires in the fireplace because it'll be April, May, so it'll be a little chilly, but the sun will be coming out and warming us up. So if you want to sign up now, I'm giving 25% off the deposit this weekend if you'd like to come. And there's lots of options for every budget and for terms of which rooms you stay in. But I'd love to have you guys join me for the very first Take Back Your Health retreat. Again, the Outer Banks means so much to me. I went there every summer growing up, so I'm happy to be doing it there. And it's a beautiful house and a beautiful beach. So come talk to me if you want to know more about it. And I also just launched meal plans for chronic Lyme patients as well. So those meal plans right now are tailored to chronic Lyme patients. In the next year, I'll make them available for Take Back Your Health followers as well. But right now, it's really focused on the chronic Lyme and infection. And that information's on the inside page. So that's what I'm working on now. But if you do want to talk to me individually, definitely come talk to me about that, and we can get you all squared away with your diet. And so that's everything for now. Thank you guys so much for being patient. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so let me tell you the timing on everything.